Minneapolis City.
Post goals! What about that?
The People's Pitch Podcast, brought to you by Summit Brewing Company.
Welcome, listeners, to the People's Pitch Podcast, the official podcast of Minneapolis City SC. I am your host, John, and all I can say is crapper.
Crap.
This week did not go as planned. But what better way to get over a mess than to podcast the hell out of these airwaves? And as always, I am joined by my best booth mate, the Clark W. Griswold of Minneapolis, Mr. Nate Morales. Nate, what is up, man? Tell these fine folks what you have been doing, and if you got a chance to watch the match this weekend.
What is up? Yes, of course I did. So I went on the great American road trip with my family. We rented an RV.
Went to Wally
and
World?
drove to San Diego to visit my sister, basically Wally World. And we stopped at the Grand Canyon and the Sequoias on the way, and we drove through the Rockies and the desert and all sorts of crap.
Iowa.
And it was pretty great. But I didn't watch the match, but I did get to follow it on Twitter on the game day because I was in Wyoming driving home on the way home. So
we flipped the script. So I was away at a wedding and birth of a child, and I was following the game on Twitter and on the feed, the stream, and you were there, and now I was there, and you were doing the Bizworm roll. So
yeah, man, the stream was not coming in great in Wyoming, so I had to stick to Twitter.
Well, the dial-up connection
it's just as heart-wrenching as it would have been if I saw it with my own two eyes.
Right.
Tell you.
Well, let's get right into it. So on this week's show, we're going to cover some standard stuff and then go a little bit outside the box. We'll talk about how we hit reset, and we'll really get into what that meant and what that means for the team. The obvious one is the Bavarians match recap. And then we'll get into the PLA recap, what happened in the league. The playoff picture is starting to kind of shape itself. There's some teams that were eliminated, both in our division and in the other division. No shocker. I don't want to leave the suspense for the folks, but Grand Rapids Ole, you're done, son. You're not going to make the playoffs. We'll talk about the Cedar Rapids preview, and then we'll go into a little bit of Euro 26 and get kind of both our thoughts on the highlights, lowlights, maybe thoughts on the championship game.
Yeah, what the hell?
Yeah, so we'll talk a little bit about that. Soccer's fun, so the more we can talk about, the better.
That's right.
So, the holiday break. So the 4th of July comes, and it's a well-needed break, just at the right time. We come off of the Madison game where things were a little bit interesting, to kind of say the least. We talked about it kind of at nauseum last time. We had some player personnel issues. We had, some injuries. The plague hit. Some communication breakdowns, but we had 11 guys go, and they performed admirably, got us a crucial 3 points as we went into the Bavarians game this week. So we had the opportunity for the holiday break. Guys got a chance to rest, heal those injuries, found a cure for the plague. Mm-hmm. It was a chance for us to realign our priorities ahead of this match.
Yeah, so let's talk about this realignment. What does that even mean? Like, were we trying to hit the reset button? It seems like we came away with some solid momentum after this Madison's game.
I think the realignment and like the resetting was basically to get us primed for the push to the playoffs.
Yeah,
and to see guys are in and they're committed, but it's like, who is all in and what is our best foot forward. And to find out, what these guys are made of, as we did hit that adversity, and then, like we talked about, took a massive Herculean effort to get us out of it. But what was it really enough? And we thought, no, we needed to sit down with the guys and have an open door and say, here's what we've had go wrong, and here's how we're going to fix it. And most importantly, we're going to be back next year. So this isn't a flash in the pan. So
we're not a one-hit wonder, is what you're saying.
We are not.
I think also it's important to mention that we started the season with just a lot of. I remember going through week after week. We're talking about the new guys we're signing. We're talking about the new guys we're signing. We're talking about all these new guys we're signing, and eventually it's like, who are the guys? Who are our guys who are the horses we're riding here going into the year? And I don't think that was ever really clearly established. I think a lot of guys probably didn't really know what their role with the team was, which left them unprepared week to week to step in.
Right. That's a good point. That's definitely part of the realignment. And, we talked about our best foot forward. Now these guys are in and we're not bringing anyone new in. Who do we throw out on the field and who's our best chance at this push? And we thought, you look at it, we're a young team by age and experience. And we're also a young team being that's our first year. So we kind of need to know like what really, who are we and what are we as an organization, and is it okay if we don't make the playoffs?
Why wouldn't it be? I mean, look, we are, not to bring us down to earth or anything like that, but is it really too much to ask? And it might be to be great in our first year. Like we're full of bravado. Obviously, our Twitter feed is awesome, but isn't it really enough just to put together a good bunch of players that are fun to watch and that capture the heart of metro area fans?
Right. It totally is. It's totally okay if we don't make the playoffs. But obviously, just like everyone wants to make the playoffs. And losing,
we're trying to make the playoffs.
And losing sucks, right? But But we look at a team that we just had come in with the Bavarians, and outside of a few outlying players, they've been together for like 3-4 years.
Yeah.
You look at RW Adria in the other division or Toledo United, those teams have been together. Even Cedar Rapids, who, is, tied on points with us going into this past weekend, and they're not a brand new team either.
No, they've got their own structure, right? Even though they haven't been an outdoor team. They've got a whole indoor.
Right. Madison's been around. Croatians have been around. We're really the only brand new team in our league, and maybe even in our division, and maybe even in the entire league. But what we really need to also find out is what made us great in the beginning of the season. You mentioned our Twitter feed. A lot of people were like, can these Twitter guys, back up all the time?
Just a bunch of loud idiots.
Right. And I think it was, it speaks to it like when, we tweeted out the night before the Bavarians game at 11 o'clock, the line, maybe this was all a big elaborate hoax.
Yeah, maybe we're not showing up.
Maybe we're not even a team. But we were like these Twitter darlings, in our first year with a chip on our shoulder and a point to prove. And that helped us play a little bit more relaxed.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned we had all these guys in. We have 30 guys in training, 18 on a game day roster, 11 that start. Like, what is our mission? And let's get back to that. And then organizationally, let's clean things up. Teachable moments. We talk about it week in and week out. We're learning as we go. And now going into next year, we know what we need to do on certain things to clean it up. And then really, let's get pumped for that playoff push.
Yeah, I mean, we got to get everyone aligned, and it feels like this was a good time to do it. So Saturday comes around, right? A game coming against the division's number one team is a tough test.
Yeah.
Of this realignment.
It wasn't
right?
like
Saturday,
we were playing the little kids that do the clinic beforehand.
No, it would have been nice to have realigned again before we played the 56ers, but whatever. So Saturday comes around and it's hot, man. It's dry.
It was really
I felt
hot.
it all the way in the mountains of western Wyoming, dude. Like it was hot all over the country. And the United is out of town, it sounds like. So we had soccer fans that are not conflicted. We got all of the support groups that have pledged their loyalty to us.
Yeah,
all
American
of our
Outlaws
houses.
were there.
Yes, all of our houses combined to crown the king of the North. There's anticipation all weekend with the Euros.
Wouldn't be the king of the
women's
West.
national team are playing. Hope Solo gets her 100th clean sheet. People are into soccer last weekend, and it looked like it was a great atmosphere at the Barnyard.
It was our biggest crowd yet. We had a big crowd for Minnesota United, which was another great day. It was a great day on Saturday, and merchandise flying off the shelves.
Oh, really?
Our food truck didn't show up, so we snapped.
Oh, Adam or whoever, the Euro guy.
No, it wasn't the Euro guy. It was like Sandy's Italian food and ice.
Oh,
So
that's what you get.
It would have been perfect. Hot day, nice Italian ice. It would have been great. But
Yeah.
apparently Sandy broke her ankle and couldn't make it out. So, of course, right? Why not throw another level
That's
of adversity?
classic Sandy.
Classic Sandy, classic Minneapolis city. So, of course, we snap into action, run up to Cub, get some hot dogs and some chips, some sodas. $5 gets you all three, and everyone was satisfied.
That's why you get interns.
Right, exactly. So they snapped into action, and we took it through. But the atmosphere was there. We had the Edina Soccer Club Day, so that the whole club was out. Some kids were out beforehand at the clinic. Their parents were there.
Did you get cake when you were at Cub?
No, we didn't get any cake. Thought about a nice chocolate chip cookie, but we thought we'd stick to the basics. And we also had the American Outlaws were out, the Dark Clouds.
That's pretty cool.
The True North Elite. Those the folks that didn't travel to the away United game were out, and it was great. My parents were in town from Milwaukee, so we had a lot of family there. We had a discounted ticket offered to all the members of Stegman's, so those guys got some discounted tickets to come out. Not like they needed motivation anyway. So we had a decent packed house for the Germans.
So in come these Germans, and they are the top of the heap in our division, and they're in the Final Four for the National Amateur Championship, which is a considerable achievement already.
Right, and they beat the name of the team escapes me, out of California. The team that won last year in the semifinals, they beat Carpathia, who's in the East, who's also a strong team. And they're hosting. It's on August 5th and 6th at Bavarian Club. They're hosting the semifinals and the finals.
Oh, sweet!
Yeah.
So we drew at the Bavarian Club, in our first game ever,
right.
And that was a pretty solid. I mean, I think that's a pretty solid result. Like we were pretty. I wouldn't say surprised, but happy to have received that result. Wouldn't you say?
Right.
And so we're thinking maybe we've got a shot here.
Right. So, what did they come with? Shocker, strong team.
Yeah.
They lined up with both Braden and Logan Andrick, the Andrick brothers. One Division III Player of the Year this past year. One still in college, also very decorated.
They're like our Forsgrens.
Right, but not as good. Right. They bring in a veteran in Dombrowski. The best name in the league, forward Andre Francois, Jim Jones in net, and then a partnership of
Kool-Aid guy.
What's that?
The Kool-Aid guy, Jim Jones.
Right. There was a couple Kool-Aid jokes on Twitter if you followed. Then they had Lorenz on the wing, Jarosz and Mao in the middle, Islami, Halawadi, and Zamini. So they brought in a great team. And there was no team to really shake a stick at. They had some great players even on the bench, and we'll get into that a little bit. But with all those players, they lined up in what looked like a 4-2-3-1, a little bit more of an attacking minded formation than they brought against us at home. But it was. They brought the heat, which we knew they are who we thought they were.
So looking at the lineup card, dude, I thought that we countered with a pretty solid squad, right? I mean, who took the pitch for the Crows?
So we did, Nate. One of the best goalkeepers statistically in the league, and number one in our hearts, Matt Elder.
Mm-hmm.
Number one on his jersey, number one in our hearts.
There you go.
The standard Berlin wall of Ao, Trey, Engel, and Ba in the back line. And then we did our midfield three of Stigward, Wexler, and SRP, Sam Ruiz Plaza. Then the forward line of Sam Forsgren, Matthew Guay, and Will Kidd.
Okay.
And then coming off the bench, we had subs in Hoof, AJ Albers, Andy Laurie, Emmanuel Brown, Lance Gaspar, Big Game James, our backup keeper, and then Steve, Ian Smith.
So no Goose. Obviously, the fans were heartbroken. Injury is still bugging this guy?
Yeah, so he hyperextended his knee in regionals playing with Minneapolis United, which is his club, his under-18 club team. And something happened where landed, hyperextended his knee, and his kneecap kind of came out of position. Being the green stick at 18 years old that he is, snapped back in, and no damage. So he's out for a short spell, but we should see him back this year. And Lord willing, he'll be back this year.
So that had nothing to do with his injury at the Croatians then?
Nothing to do with his injury at the Croatians.
So that's all good.
Yeah, it was all good. So he was back in training after the Croatians game. So this was happened playing with his club commitment, which is great. Another Minnesota team going to regionals, which was awesome. And even at regionals was the St. Croix team of Connor Stevenson, Huff, and Sam Ruiz Plaza that play with us. So a lot of our younger players were playing at a pretty high level during the off week. So Goose wasn't in the lineup. We already spoke last time about him being kind of our most dangerous threat.
No Chairman Hodeman in the all-black backup jersey sitting on the bench, hoping to suit up.
Yep, no Chairman Hodeman. He was running like a chicken with his head cut off as usual on game day.
Man. That guy. But in all seriousness, so we had no Andy Laurie in the lineup to start and no AJ to start. Explain that to me, man, because what do you think the staff was thinking? Those are two of our rocks, if you will.
So the AJ thing was a little bit more of a personnel issue. We talked about kind of clearing up those lines of communication and availability and things like that. So that was kind of AJ's position. And then with Laurie, that was more of a tactical look. When I talked to the coaching staff, we were looking to counter their kind of, I don't know if you want to call it standoffish backline. But their backline that was more willing to sit back and doesn't like to be pressured. And with our small field, pressuring those guys into bad mistakes with the bumpy pitch. I must say, though, the pitch looked the best it's looked all season.
Oh, really? I noticed that when I was there for the last home game, the grass was coming in and all the patches, and it was looking decent.
It was looking decent. It's still not the best thing on earth. So, So Andy's position was, Andy's such a dynamic forward. Most of the time plays his back to goal. We were looking to play with our chest up, chin up to the goal, and using that energy, to wear that defense out, and then bringing him on off the bench, when he's fresh. Plus, over the break, he played a little bit of amateur soccer of his own, so he was a little bit. A little bit game worn, so it's a chance for him to rest up a little bit and kind of come in fresh.
Cool.
So with all that said, we started in our traditional 4-3-3, and we mentioned providing energy to kind of face up against their back line and pin their wingers back who don't like to be pressured, that they get up the field. So trying to pin them back in the defensive third, and then hit them on the counter with our speed and our energy in Will and Matthew, and then Sam Forsgren could play. He could play anywhere, and be dynamic. So we had him, moved out of that central role in the beginning of the game, attacking. So early thoughts, since I was there, it was pretty back and forth in the beginning, and we looked to match up with the league leaders, kind of man for man, and they had a few chances, we had a few chances, kind of a feeling out portion of the beginning of the game, but we were doing what we said we were going to do, but then it fell a little bit behind on the energy scale. Towards the middle of the first half, and the guys just looked like they were ready and amped, but then things got a little bit disjointed, and it required us to make a little bit of a tactical switch. I'd say about 15-20 in, where we moved Wexler out wide and moved Forsgren into that attacking position. So
that's a pretty significant swap, considering that's not anywhere we've seen Ben play so far. What brought that about?
We were against Madison when he was playing, and he even mentioned it at halftime in the locker room when I was helping out with the coaching staff, was that our back line and our midfield were aligned and they were cohesive, but the attacking third was kind of not connected. So his role in that was being that link to get the offense started. And the dude scored 2 goals and set up the third. So
took care of business.
He took care of business. So it was kind of hearkening back to that a little bit.
Okay, that makes sense. So sounds like you said a lot of chances going back and forth. Yeah,
whether it was our back line kind of squashing out half chances, or it was Elder stepping up and making some big saves, and once again, I mean he came up big. He made some really good saves, really quick off of his line, and I think he looks like he's hitting his stride. We talked about it before. He broke his leg like almost a calendar year ago.
Yeah,
and for any goalie, having to plant, having to dive, having to go to ground a lot, having a metal rod and some pins and screws in your leg, like, can't feel good, right? But the
I could see how that could get a little worrisome.
yeah, and the dude's been playing a lot of soccer and good soccer, and he's only getting better right now, and he's not
Which is nuts.
Which is nuts, right? And he hasn't even hit his prime for a goalkeeper. So, I always joke with him, 'cause I said on one podcast that he's 26-year-old elder statesman. He's only 23, so so he's the old man back there.
He does seem like he's the old man.
But he's 23.
He's 23. I thought he's older than that.
He plays well beyond his years, So he's hitting his stride. Hasn't even come into his own as far as goalkeeping years go. So it's going to be tough to see a guy like Duncan or James, kind of step in there. And I want to get your thoughts on that. Seeing that we have a great goalkeeping room, much like a good quarterback room, where we have a clear front runner, but based off of performance. And then you have some supporting cast who could step in and play.
I hope to see Duncan play a little more, probably, hopefully, especially on Friday. Hopefully he'll get the start against Fargo. We do like Duncan's potential, but I think, this team, and I'll bring it up a couple times more in the course of the show because it's going to be a theme, I think. But this team really does need on-field leadership, and we find that hard in number one. This guy is definitely an on-field leader.
And an off-the-field leader.
And off the field as well. Getting the guys together, getting them, trying to make friendships and forge relationships off the field. You've got guys all up and down the field that are trying to do that, and he's one to do that. And I think that makes it even harder for another goalkeeper to step in and take his place. I think Duncan is great, and I mean the numbers and the ratings don't lie. What is he, a 4-star recruit and all that stuff? He's going to UCLA. So I love seeing him on the field, but I think when it comes down to it, Elder's given us the best chance at the W in each game because of his organizational skills.
Right. So as far as the chances go in the half, from our build-up, traditionally at home you see it out wide because of one person. That's Goose, right? Goose. And he wasn't there. So this was an opportunity for us, which wasn't our game plan. Being at training and kind of hearing what we were planning for, our plan of attack wasn't to go through the middle. But really? We were seeing a lot of our opportunities come through our short passing and our build-up through the middle, which was good to see because then we would hit the channels from the middle for a guy like Forsgren and Guay and then, when Wexler moved out there. So our best chances were coming through the middle. But what was happening was, and the reason probably for the tactical switch with Forsgren was that on our offensive third, it just looked like we lacked like the dynamic runs, and things got really straight line. Yeah, and kind of, I'll say a little bit stale. We didn't vary things up. You didn't see a lot of guys switching positions or making the diagonal run. It was more of like Matthew would check back to get the ball, and then our wingers would have to get wide to support him. So there was nothing we were able to like turn and face the goal, which was kind of why we went with more of a speedier, energetic front line.
That makes sense.
So, when that got stale, Wexler was doing a great job of kind of trying to find those pockets, but we looked to go back to what worked against Madison, and it didn't work because of maybe the field. The width isn't there. It's a little bit bumpy. It's hard to control the ball, but we just weren't getting anything going in the offensive third that wasn't coming off of a corner kick. And Engel actually had the best chance early on off of a corner kick to the back post where Plaza put one in and dropped it right on his head. I thought it went out for another corner because it would have gone in if it hadn't. But the linesman on that side, and we'll get into him a little bit later on in the second half, the guy was out of position most of the game. So
I mean, how is that possible as a linesman? Let's get into it real quick. Like, you just kind of have to run with the ball.
Well, you're supposed to be the lino is supposed to be even with the last defender. So that's like number one in soccer 101 for a lines person. So the guy was always like 5 to 8 yards ahead of the last man back. So
like just anticipating some shit or what?
I don't know. It just like he did. Honestly, there's a dip that goes on the nearest touchline, and I think he was just like worried he was going to trip like if he's running full speed, that he would always slow down when it got to that point, and then he would kind of try to eyeball the back line, and I think he missed a few things. But that aside, we'll get into that. But right after we made the tactical switch, we saw a ball go in from Forsgren to Guay, and he actually was able to turn and face up against his defender, which drew Lorenz, who I thought clear, outside of the goals they scored, clear man of the match for them. The guy was a beast in the back, and not from a size or physical standpoint, but he read the game like he got the playbook ahead of time, and he played great, and he squashed out quite a few of our attacks. But in this instance, Guay was able to turn on him and face up, and Abdallah made like a bombing 40-yard run and got slotted through. And if it weren't for Islami kind of like last-ditch tackle attempt that got a pinky toe on the ball to touch it towards the keeper, Abdallah would have had an opportunity to try to slot one back post, which Wexler was running onto. So it could have been a rebound situation, or he could have tucked it home. And that was really our best chance, But their best chance came with about 8 minutes to go before the halftime whistle, when Lorenz got kind of isolated out wide and put the ball through into the middle to Dombrowski, who played a nice ball into Francois, who was able to flick through the channel. Ba had just made that bombing run, so he maybe was a little bit tired. And Lorenz was going at him all game, and he was doing a great job of shutting him down. But you could tell, dude was tired. And Lorenz has had a little bit of a burst of speed, got to the corner of the box. Elder came out and cut off the angle, and the dude just slotted it over Elder's right shoulder into the far post, upper corner. Really,
right where he had to do it.
Right where he had to do it. So, there's nothing that Elder could have done. He maybe been able to get a hand on it and push it wide, but that's a tough thing to say, because he did everything he could have done to set up for that. And, you know, it's tough when, you're coming out, getting set, and then that ball's put the only place it can be. So they go up 1-0 at halftime, and then like the morale just like sucked right out of the team.
Really?
Yeah, because it was like we've fought, and we've had a few chances. They've had a couple more than us. Our defense playing so well, and then they get one right before the break, and it's like the most demoralizing thing.
Even after like last week when we were down twice,
right?
Or not last week, but last game we were down twice and we came back. That's surprising.
We still fought, but you could just tell it wasn't like Madison and the Bavarians are two totally different monsters.
Yeah, I suppose you go down to Madison.
You're like, they got lucky on a set piece. We're going to get them back. But this was because we were dominating them in the run of play. This wasn't that case. It was we were playing a better team, and they had the chance that we didn't. So the chances we didn't. So anyhow, second half comes, and so do the changes. So then we introduced, shortly after halftime, we came back out with the same starting lineup. We introduced AJ and Andy, and that started to help. Yeah. So once again, our back line in midfield was like lockstep. They were aligned, but the ability for us to get our front line on the same page was still not working. Andy did a few things off the dribble. Had a couple half chances himself. One where he turned a guy and flipped a ball through the back post, where Wexler was unable to get onto it because he's not the tallest guy on earth. So the ball went over his head. But it just wasn't working still. And Will Kidd put in a good shift. I thought that his role was the energy guy, and it has always been, where he's disrupting the back line, creating turnovers, but our, in quotes, our more lethal, skilled attackers just never got it going. Yeah. So shortly after that, it was still back and forth. We saw Manuel Brown come on for a clearly tired Abdallah Ba, who I thought when he came in, he brought really good energy, and the guy has got the shortest short-term memory ever. Any mistake he made, didn't care, tracked back, got forward, vocal. I was really impressed with him.
Really? I just like the guy, where we played for almost 180 minutes in the weekend when we went to our Cedar Rapids Milwaukee road trip. Like the guy's always going to play. He's always willing to play.
Abdallah?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, dude was tired. Totally get it. Played a lot of soccer. And then Lance Gaspar came on and moved AO into the middle. And then Engel came out, who was carrying a little bit of a knee injury.
Something from a few weeks ago, right?
From a few weeks ago, yeah. So the back line still wasn't our problem with the changes. We actually were getting forward more, and we were pressing a higher line. And Trey was Trey. Like, you don't even need to talk about the guy. He just did his job. We kept possession, which was great. We tried to hit on the counter, which was great. We just could not find the equalizer. AJ had a chance on a free kick where he came, or maybe it was a corner, where he came in, just missed it, and then just destroyed the goalie on his way down. And that created some handbags, some pushing and shoving with some of the guys. The Bavarians thought it was a little bit deliberate. I didn't think so. Talked to my dad after the game, who was there, and he was watching. He said, I think the guy was a little bit deliberate shove there, but whatever, that's part of the game. So, the Germans then kind of made a couple substitutions. They brought on Reed Stevenson, who is basically a like-for-like substitute for Francois. He's a newer addition to the team, goes to UW Milwaukee. Younger, faster version of Francois. Maybe not as tactically gifted, but physically gifted and skillfully gifted. He was causing us some fits, and they brought on Ruland, who struck blood again as he was kind of slipped through.
Striking oil.
Well, yeah, kind of, yeah. Struck oil.
Grosser.
Yeah. It hurts more. So. We had a kind of a high flat back line, and it seemed from the angle that I was at, because I was down on that side doing the announcing, which I did a stellar job, in case you were wondering, of announcing the game in your absence.
Thank you.
But it seemed as if the line had stepped, and the forward pass went on an angle to a guy who was offsides, who took a touch and then slotted it again over the shoulder of Elder to the back post. So it was another case of the guy did what he had to do, and he couldn't have done anything else besides put it where he did. But the linesman, again, was like 5 yards behind the play and wasn't even anywhere close to being in position to throw the flag up. But the whole game that was happening, it seemed to happen for us a couple times where I thought Matthew was offsides and he was sprung, or Forsgren had one, Plaza had one, and Wexler had one where it was kind of razor's edge as to if the guy was in position, probably offsides. And then the juxtaposition of that, a couple offsides he called for both teams that weren't offsides.
Yeah.
So
he's kind of all over the place.
Right. So you just deal with that, right? I thought the center referee, as long as on the topic of referees, because at this point the game was pretty much in the bag for the Bavarians. They're going to kill out the game then. And we did our best to push forward, made some more substitutes. Hoof came in. Who else came in? Steve came in. Everyone on the bench got in, so except for James. So, we saw some other guys come on and provide energy, and I thought it was good. But the center official, I thought, did a great job. There were some iffy challenges in the first half where we didn't see him making the calls. And then when you don't do that throughout the whole course of the game,
it's hard to make those calls at the end of the game and for them to feel legitimate.
Right, because what was happening was we were a team that was trying to press to get a goal back and to get back into this. And so our challenges were a little bit heavier. They weren't dirty by any means, but they were heavier. Yeah. And then it looks like we're flying into dirty challenges or mistimed challenges because we're trying to press. And then the calls start coming, and it just took us out of it. So we go down 2-0, and ultimately that was our demise. But as far as the takeaways go, we learned some combos or a combo that do work. Yeah. We also learned that AJ is a must in the middle.
Which nothing new. We've been saying that for a while. It's just kind of we haven't had him for a few weeks.
Right. We also saw that Wexler out wide playing in front of AO worked. And that's something that we could go to if we need to in the future. I already mentioned, Emmanuel looks like a great replacement for Ba if Ba can't go for 90 minutes. Yep. And he's also an energy guy and fearless. And so we saw more validation of that. When Steve got on, he started to go forward. It was limited action, but he looked good trying to go forward instead of his MTA disease of going backwards and side to side.
That's good. That's good.
Right. And then Max is totally the real deal. So, we knew he was a good player and he's young, I believe he's 19. But the guy, short in stature compared to like an AJ, but he's legit. So we validated that. And then Andy, with high energy around him up top and guys that are doing a lot of the dirty work so they can get him the ball in the best spots for Andy, is a must going forward.
Yeah, I'm glad you bring that up.
And then finally, we look at Elder, every bit the consistent contender for man of the match or even the season.
Man of the season. I mean, yeah.
And so, we saw those good things. So despite the loss, it wasn't ultimate worst case scenario. We needed at least a point. We didn't get one. But we saw some good things. So if our ultimate goal from the beginning was a development team, to get these guys a place to play when they're not playing in college, and sprinkle in some men's league veteran leadership, we've done that. And, there's losing sucks, right? But losing to a team like that still sucks, but those guys are a good team, and we talk about their accolades, and they were better than they were when we played them last time. I feel we didn't get better per se. We brought in different players, and we have a better outlook, but the performance on the field just didn't happen. So we had to rely on other people. We had to rely on some frenemies to do some work for us.
Well, the Bavarians, man, they're a team that are built for this part of the season. They're built for the playoff push. You see that when they come out and draw a brand new team like us, and as the season moves on, they're winning more and more consistently. So what are you going to do, right? But like you said, we need some help from our frenemies.
Yep. So we had before we get to that, we had a chance to catch up with some of the players. As you probably could tell, they weren't the happiest, but gave us some good takes and some decent sound bites. So the first player we met up with was Max. All right, we're here with Minneapolis City midfielder Max Stigward. I always get it wrong. How do you pronounce it?
Stigward.
Stigward, good, I got it. So, Max, you've been out for a little bit, for a few weeks. Tell us what you were doing and how it feels to get back in.
I was a little sick at first, and then I was actually in South America playing with Paraguay's U20s. So that was an awesome experience. They brought in 54 guys from all over the world, really. They have guys playing in Atletico Madrid and Germany and all that. Mm-hmm. It was a great experience, especially just to stay in shape and, get that overseas experience with them. But, overall it was awesome, and I'm excited to come back and play with the boys here.
How'd it feel to come back?
It was awesome. Very welcoming group, as you know. Very good, very fun to play with the guys and all that in trainings. So it's awesome to be back and be playing with my team this summer.
Nice. So it didn't go our way. Totally cool. We still control our own destiny. The Bavarians are a good team. What do you think we do moving into the next game against Cedar Rapids, or it's kind of a must-win?
I think it's all about attitude. I'm kind of happy we're in this situation. I think it's going to be a test of character for us and for our teammates. How bad do we want this and how bad do we want to make it to that next level? Mm-hmm. So I think we're in a really good spot, actually, and we have guys who are willing to go out there and stick their foot out and, get some goals. So
nice.
I'm excited.
So last question. The Bavarians are pretty good. They have a pretty strong center midfield. You were in there for a while today. Tell me what you were kind of seeing, what you were hearing in there, how they were kind of operating versus how we were.
Yeah, at first it was a little difficult. I thought we were a little disconnected from our back line to our front line. So playing in that holding mid role, just trying to connect those passes at first was a little difficult. But I thought as the game went on, once we started swinging the ball, it got a little better. Obviously, we didn't get in behind as much as we should have, but we're learning still. We're a young club, very young club. So I think going forward, we just take away from today and we'll have some great opportunities going forward.
All right, sounds good. Well, heal up the little knocks, and we'll get ready for Cedar Rapids. Thanks a lot for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. That was Max Stigward, center midfielder for Minneapolis City.
John, this is sounds like another example of just a kid one of our younger kids that really has his shit together. Yeah. And really knows what's up with when it comes to the right attitude that you need when you hit the field, but also the kid brings it as a competitor. I mean, he's with the Paraguay U20 team. Just like he drops it like no big deal. Like, oh yeah, I haven't been with the team much. Sorry, I was sick, and then I was in South America.
Right.
What are you gonna do?
Right.
Happy to be back.
It's like, sorry, while everyone was at their lake house looking at fireworks, I was just playing with the Paraguay under 20 team. You're right, and I think the thing that you mentioned that I want to kind of add a little bit of color to is that we have these young players who totally get it. So if you fast forward the team that we have now and to hold on to some of these guys for a year, another year, maybe 2 years before they make that jump because they have the pedigree to make that jump, we have then the makeup of what like a Bavarians or like an Adria or a Toledo has. We have these younger guys who are maturing together and are going to be dangerous.
So you also talked to AO?
Yeah, we talked to Mr. Olson. A little bit different of an interview. He provided some pretty good traditional sports sound bites for us. So why don't we have a listen? All right, I'm here with Minneapolis City midfielder and co-captain, Mr. Aaron Olson. AO, how was the mood going into the game today?
I just want to thank God for putting us on that field today, and my teammates out there, play for them and they play for me, and just really gave it 110%.
So you're saying the mood was very religious?
Big man up top, got to thank him for everything he gives us and our team out here, and teammates do it all for me and I do it all for them, and just gave it 110%.
So what was different kind of from what the Bavarians threw at us the first half and then how we handled it versus what happened in the second half?
Well, in the first half, I think we just weren't thanking God enough, and then in the second half, we really came out and showed him that we wanted to play, and he gave us a little spurt of energy in the start there, and our teammates, they played for me, I played for them, just really gave it 110%.
So Bavarians have Cedar Rapids tomorrow. We're pretty much almost an automatic W for those guys, would you say?
God has a plan for every team, and I hope that he has a good plan for us and a bad plan for Cedar Rapids, and so give it 110%.
So we went out. Next two games went out, including against Cedar Rapids, and we make the playoffs. How do we rebound?
Just gotta give it 110%.
All right. That is defender Aaron Olson from Minneapolis City. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, 110%.
So as we can hear, Mr. Olson a little bit put off by the outcome, but couldn't have more love for the man upstairs.
Yeah. If I didn't know any better, it would sound like you got iced out a little bit.
We can't be all roses in every interview that we do, and I'm actually kind of glad that he was a little bit physically and audibly shaken by the fact that we didn't perform well, being that this was crunch time. But he did touch on a few things that I think were great, even though he didn't give us a whole lot, was that the guys are trying to play for each other, and although the outcome wasn't what we thought it was, and what we hoped it would be, he really, he touched on the fact that they're out there playing for each other, and you could tell that. The guys, it's different when you're losing and the team's not jointed together and they're disjointed because they start arguing. They don't pass to one another because one guy because this guy's not doing his job and they're mad and whatnot. We don't have that. We have a good group of guys who we've hit a rough patch. The buzzsaw that is the best team in the league, and it didn't work in our way. So we just got to continue to do that. But maybe jinxed ourselves a little bit.
I was going to say, some might say you jinxed us.
Well,
Sunday comes, the Bavarians go to Iowa, and we need the Bavarians to win to keep Cedar Rapids even with us, and they did not. So that really screwed us pretty hard. And it shows us that, really, dude, for the third time, Rapids takes our sloppy seconds and hurts us with it. Like, I really dislike – that sucks. I hate how that happens.
Right.
The Bavarians go down 2-0 in Iowa, playing their second game in 2 days. This doubleheader shit that Cedar Rapids was awarded, basically, for joining the league late is really working to their advantage. But we'll get into that later.
Right.
Let's go into the league recap first, and we'll look into the playoff picture that's shaping up.
Okay.
So in the East, the playoff picture is pretty much set. It's going to be Toledo and RW Adria. It really depends on how their last games work out. But Toledo really has only one game left, and it's against Adria. So if they win, they've got their division title. The number 3 team, Oakland County Leaf Pile, they've only got one game left, and they're down 4 points to the top 2 teams, so they're done. So if Adria can finish strong, they're going to be up top. Otherwise, your Toledo prophecy is going to come true, John. What do you like about this Toledo team? Can they win it all?
I must say, I didn't prophesize the game between the Bavarians and Cedar Rapids well, but I did call in the beginning of the year that Toledo was going to be one of the contenders. And they have a great mixture of quality coaching and quality veteran leadership. And then you add on top of that a little bit of sprinkles of cohesion from playing together, a group of guys playing together. So they kind of are what you might consider the whole package. I think they can win it all. It's just a matter of matchups. I won't be able to make it even if we do go. But I would love to see a Toledo Bavarians game, whether it's a semifinal or a final. I think it will really show the quality that the PLA has. And a lot of people crapped all over the PLA. Like, what's the Premier League of America? This league sucks. It's not the MPSL. It's not the PDL. You know what, though? Some of the top teams in this league in both divisions can beat PDL and MPSL teams.
Well, this playoff race is turning out to be really exciting. I mean, this end of season, table swapping race. In the West, man, it is time. It's time to put our foot down. Rampage, again, benefited from their bullshit schedule, and they beat a tired Bavarians 2-0, which puts Rampage in sole possession of the second place with 15 points. And they're out of first only by goal differential. So just like, God, fuck these dudes.
Right.
Like I cannot believe that they're getting these breaks. And then the Croatians stomped the 56ers 4-0. It's basically a free space on the bingo board for them.
Right.
But they are now 3 points behind us, and they're probably out of it unless some miracle happens. But it's still nice for us to know that they're breathing down our necks too to kind of leapfrog us into the top 3 of the standings.
So there is a scenario out there in our league. So we play those boners in Iowa next Sunday. Then we play Minnesota United. Minnesota United also plays those boners that we play on Sunday the following week. Okay?
Yep.
So say we take 3 points and we score 2-3 goals against Cedar Rapids. Say we beat United reserves. Say United reserves beat Rapids. That's best case scenario for us, right? We win out.
Yep.
They went out.
We get 6 points. They get nothing. We leapfrog them, no problem.
Right. The other scenario is the Bavarians have Croatians at home for like the 10th time this season.
It feels like it, doesn't it?
Yes. And then they travel to Madison to play against 56ers, which we know set pieces kind of their thing.
Mm-hmm.
So say the Bavarians drop 2 games. Weirder things have happened, like on Sunday, them losing to Cedar Rapids.
That's true.
So it could be a trap for a couple teams in our league. So this is definitely not over for a couple teams, right?
No, definitely not. And I think Instagram user Ace Zeus, a.k.a. Jesus Orozco, he wanted to know after the result on Saturday what the road to the playoffs looks like for us. And we've got a few, like you said, we've got a few roads.
Right. So, I mean, we have the chance to – we wanted to control our own destiny by winning this weekend. Didn't happen. We didn't have the destiny under our own control this weekend with Bavarians and Cedar Rapids. Didn't go our way. Not the end of the world. That reset button we hit has to be pressed even harder now, and we have to all get aligned and put our best foot forward. Because just like any sport and any playoff race, you need a little help from the other folks in the league, right? Yeah. So it's not totally in our control. We can only do what we can do, and we need some help. And I think it's awesome. It's our first year, and even to be in the hunt is awesome. But we expect to be in first place. We expect to win every game. We expect to win the league and the division.
I think it's a great attitude. I mean, say what you will about the Rampage and their grooming habits and the thin line between their girlfriends and farm animals, but everyone can agree that it's a surprise that the two expansion teams are fighting for the second playoff spot. Right. I think I had no idea that our league could get this tense, and it's just awesome.
Right. So it's a coin toss. We'll see what happens.
So what needs to happen next week when Rapids shows up?
Well, we need to win. We need to win by.
We need to win out.
We need to win out, and we need a patented elder unsoiled sheet, and we need 2 or 3 goals.
I'm looking for a more coordinated attack out of this team. So is Twitter. I mean, when we were in Madison, the team rallied around this idea of moving up the field together, attacking together. Who adds to that? Who prevents that?
I think it's we maybe lean on experience now. We talk about this being a development piece, and we are going to play some younger players. It's just how it shakes out with our roster. But we need some guys who've been in situations like this before, or whether it's guys like Max who've played overseas at a high level with in the national system, or whatever it is. We just need to get our 11 on the same page like we were in Madison, and just go and get 3 points twice. That's
John,
it.
I'm going to say it, man. Closed circuit to the coach's compound. You have to stop starting Guay. I think Laurie provides more up top, including the leadership to keep this team coordinated. He's dangerous on the attack. I think that, like you said, we need to lean on experience, and we need to lean on results. And I just don't see him out of Matthew beyond the flashes that he showed us early in the season.
I think that's you can cut that butter with 2 different types of knives.
I don't know what that means.
I'm about ready to tell you. So, is Matthew Guay an excellent player? Absolutely. Have we maybe put a little bit more lofty expectations on what he's provided, even scoring the first ever goal for us as an organization? Maybe. But a dynamic player, a proven player, just maybe not having the best summer that he could have, which happens. You play a lot of soccer. You look at the Euros, for example, guys that played in the Champions League and played in their league and then played in their domestic cups, and then they go into their national teams and then they just don't perform, and you're like, oh, that guy's, he's not as good as we said he was. That's not the case. It could be some tired legs, and that could be the case with Matthew, or it could just be that it's taking him longer to link up with the other players. So that's the one knife you can cut the butter with. The other one is Andy's 27 years old, and he's been here before, not in the PLA, but he's been here before at even higher levels than what we have. So if it truly is, let's make a push for the playoffs, and let's do so at the cost of more of a development piece, then your comment of starting Andy is 100% valid. Yep. Having them both play together, also something we could do. However, it is what it is, and we're leaning on our coaching staff to put forth the guys that look the best week in and week out at training. So we're not 100% clued into that, and over the next week, it'll truly be a tough decision for a lot of places for the coaching staff, including at forward.
So we know they've got Gordy Jerson, and they've got their big boy Bales, who just kicks the shit out of the ball. What else do these suckers got?
Well,
they've got a strategy that subs their goalkeeper at halftime, by the way.
And they have a strategy that works on a fast, flat surface.
Yeah.
So,
we'll see what the barnyard can throw their way.
It's going to be difficult for them, so we have to use it as our advantage.
Yeah. So we've got Fargo coming down to play for the Summit Keg on Friday, and then we've got our game on Sunday against Cedar Rapids. Is the Fargo game really a warm-up match, or is it more of a chance to get some playing time for reserves? How much are we going to use our big dogs against this Fargo team?
So, I think it's a chance for a couple things. One, Summit sponsors both teams. They're more of a key line sponsor for us and more of a secondary sponsor for them. However, you never want to lose to any bordering team, a la Milwaukee or Fargo, depending upon which border you're talking about. But because it doesn't count and it's right smack nuts in the middle of our playoff push, we're going to see some guys that might not get as much action getting more time.
Okay. So if people want to hear a little bit more about this Fargo game, we're not really going to touch on it because we spent so much time with Cedar Rapids and with the recap. I'd urge them to listen to the Flakaglost podcast. It's the football pod over at FLAKOGLOST.com. They do a pretty sweet job.
Yeah, we actually were on there in the beginning of the the
What's that?
We were actually on there.
Myself, Dan.
Dan, Keith was on it also. They're out of Denver, and actually they're going to be here for the game.
No shit.
Yeah, they're one of the guys is from Minnesota, so he's gonna be here.
That's why he's rocking all the Summit gear. We're gonna have to trade some tricks of the trade.
Right, exactly. And I have plans to kind of hit those guys up beforehand, and I know they do listen to us, so we'll see you guys soon. But as far as Fargo goes, they played our Stegman's team last year twice. We lost 3-2 the first game at home to them, and 2-1 on the road against them, and pretty much rolling out a team average age of 30, and their team was average age of like 23. So they're
just a different level up there of competition. We talked earlier that they played this FC Minneapolis team, and they whooped on them, but FC Minneapolis is a totally different situation too. So we're going to try to keep it fun. We're going to try to keep it competitive, but there's no reason to believe that we shouldn't be winning this game.
Yep, and we need to bring home the Summit Keg and and keep it here where it was christened. But they have a couple good players. They have a forward named Jade Johnson, and then a really dynamic midfielder named JP Songolo, who they're good soccer players, really good soccer players, and we have to watch out, or it'll nip us in the bud. So that'll be on Friday. Nice chance for people to come out, get some merch, grab a hot dog if the food truck doesn't show up. And to see some soccer, on a happy hour game on Friday, to get people tuned up for what we're going to throw at them on Sunday against the in-division rival.
I'm pumped for it, man.
So
it's going to be a good weekend. It's my birthday weekend, John. Did you know that?
No, I didn't. I'll have to wish you happy birthday.
Wish tomorrow.
Maybe we'll serenade you with the crowd, since I'll have a microphone.
Sweet.
So that's kind of what we had as far as the week that we're going to have. But let's talk about the weekend. I know you were gone, but the Euros finished up.
Yeah, man.
Portugal won the Euros this weekend, Nate, and I kind of called it the wettest fart of any major final I've ever seen. It was just really it's no. It's not a surprise that I'm a Germany fan. I really thought that the semifinal of Germany-France was going to be that would have been it, the de facto final.
Yep.
Really thought France was going to take it after they beat Germany. And then, the other semifinal was really, right, wet fart. Yep. And then you go into this final and you got Ronaldo going up against basically a French team, seemingly on his own. But did you watch the game? Let's start there.
Yes, I did. I think, I totally did, dog. I sat the family down in Paxton, Nebraska, at a place called Ole's Big Game Steakhouse, and we watched with unbridled glee as Ronaldo wept on the field with an injury to his knee and a moth on his face.
The most famous moth on the planet.
It was so weird. It was like from the Mothman prophecies or something. I totally expected a demon to eat him on the field. It was just a bizarre. And he just let it sit there like a starving African child.
I feel for Ronaldo. I really do. I'm not a big fan of his, even though I'm a United fan. I loved having him on the team, but I didn't like him in person. I didn't like his antics, but I sure did love the goals he scored. I give him credit. He tried to play, and you could see it once it happened. You could see,
I mean, he's just, he was limping and hurting.
And he's a competitor, and he's not going to be one of those guys who's going to, call for the sub himself. So he tried. He really did try. And then you get the moth giving him a butterfly kiss, as he's on the ground. And it is what it is. But I felt that the goalkeeper and the defense for Portugal was just stellar. And I hate Pepe, but the dude doesn't stick around me at Real Madrid for like 10 years without being good at soccer. So they played well and they won. So. It is what it is.
There you
like I
go.
said, the wettest fart of any major final. So what were your highlights of the tourney? Mine, to kick it off was once again England stepping on their own penis when it comes to soccer. Like, can't get out of their own way. Like, seriously.
I don't understand how this team is never any good.
They had one.
The whole team is like Jack Wilshere is just like a microcosm for this whole team.
Right.
It's like, oh man, this is going to be really good, and then he steps on the field and he snaps his leg in half within 5 minutes.
Right. I mean, he does that for Arsenal too. But when it comes to their national program, I think part of it is like the media mafia that gets behind them and that just like ruins it before they even kick a ball. And it's, and then you get a guy like. It's no surprise that Hart is a great goalkeeper. We've seen it.
Yeah.
But just like when he puts on like the three lions, it's like he's like a Sunday league goalie sometimes, and you're like, what are you doing? And then you get like Rooney playing like a defensive holding midfielder. That's not his spot. Like, he can play in the middle like he did with United, more attacking, but they just. It's like they'll fire. They're like Mexico. They'll fire their coach like in the locker room at halftime, right? Because they're not winning, and
like that's yeah.
And it's like it's normal to them. So that was mine.
Well, I'm just drinking a little. Sorry, Karawi keeping goal in his damn sweatpants is my favorite.
That was great.
Highlight of the journey. Just some of these the stories that the media comes up with or the media drags up are usually a little weird. But I just love that this guy went out there and performed pretty well. I mean, he's 40-some years old. He's just wearing some sweatpants and some green socks,
right?
And he's kicking ass.
Do you know he has his own line of sweatpants, goalkeeping sweatpants that he sells in his home country?
Why wouldn't you, dude? He's
right. Right.
That guy would make $1 million here in the U.S. if it was like Zubaz.
Right. So. He basically is like Zubaz. They just have to be gray and not patterned. But as far as the biggest surprise for the tournament, mine would definitely be. Payet doing it on the big stage, like he did it on the big stage when it comes to the Premiership with West Ham. Yeah, I was really keen on watching him throughout the tournament, and I mean, dude scores the first goal of the tournament, saves France, host country, comes off the field like crying, like waterworks because he just can't control his emotions, and I can only imagine how he felt. But he played great against a lot of good players, and I think that. He's gonna definitely garner a hefty price tag in the not too distant future because the dude is legit.
Yeah, I mean he basically came out of nowhere. I mean, I think nobody was really looking at West Ham at all last year, and then all of a sudden, Payet shows up this year and helps them to threaten to be in the Champions League, which would have been pretty cool.
Right.
My big surprise was the new guys. Wales and Iceland playing well with the big dogs. I think the European powers traditionally are looking a little old, so some new blood is good. I think England, like you said, stepping on their dicks left and right.
Italy just being actually old.
Italy is actually old. They've got like a 75-year-old vampire goalkeeper.
Count Chocula.
And even your Germans, man. I mean, I think the German squad of the World Cup 2 years ago is aging, and I think you could see that there's a lack of talent in coming up with them.
The U.S. team, the changing of the guard,
similar to the U.S. team, exactly. Yeah. So it was really exciting to see some new teams like Wales and Iceland do well.
I like that stat where they broke down the 300,000 people in the country and how they selected the national team. 9%
of the country was at the stadium.
Yeah, and then there were 7 people in the country are on the staff, and 48% are women. So they just started hacking them down into what's left, the 30 players that were on the roster.
Yeah, man, and their managers, their dentist.
Right. And he's actually Swedish.
Doc Hollywood or something.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, the low points for me, my Germans kind of letting me down, melting down a little bit. I think they just kind of ran out of steam, like you said. And what about you?
I don't know. For me, it was every time Portugal advanced. I felt like every time they advanced, they just kind of scooted by, skin of their teeth, seat of their pants, however you want to say it.
Right.
I think that their victories were a little too close for my liking, and they didn't feel as
champion-like.
They didn't feel like champions. It's not like they dominated the tournament. It's not like they even made a statement at the tournament. It's like they kind of scooted through round to round, and then won in the final. But with other stars, so I got to give them props.
You're right. And I remember. I don't know if you remember. You can go back into the archives of the podcast, but I didn't call Portugal to win, but I did say that I wouldn't be surprised if a third place team advancing through a group was one that caused problems.
Yep.
And Portugal was the epitome of what I said. They were the team that came through by the skin of their teeth, and only by the graces of the expansion to as many teams from what they did have did they get there. I think another low point quickly, but I know we're running a little long here, but was the yellow card rules. Like expecting guys to play like 5 games without wiping out the yellow cards was just god awful. So fix that, FIFA. Well, fix a lot of things, FIFA, but next year or next Euros, like maybe wipe that out. Yeah, fix that one too.
Well, John, that'll do it for us, I guess. Next week, we're going to definitely recap that Summit Keg match. Big show next week because we have 2 recaps to do.
Yep.
So we're recapping that Summit Keg. Definitely the more important match against Rapids. We'll do a recap of that. And we will look into the eyes of the playoffs and see which one of us flinches. I don't know what that means, but...
Yeah, I don't know either, but it sounds great.
Yeah, it's dramatic.
But Nate, we have a few things to plug this week.
Yes.
First off, merchandise on sale. It's dope. You can get.
It is dope.
You can get online, or you can just come to a match, which would be even better. And you can get things like the limited edition throwback T-shirts. Availability of those is low. If you didn't order already or pre-order, you better get on that or show up to a match.
And that's the throwback T-shirt you're talking about is the Minneapolis City logo that's on our throwback kit.
Yep. And speaking of throwback kit, they are in. I have it on right now.
Yes, it looks great.
It's pretty sweet. I wore it to the games. It was not really good luck, I guess. But it's awesome. It's a great one to add to your jersey collection. And you can go online right now to mplscity.com and hit up that shop, and get some gear.
We'll be playing that throwback on Friday, right?
Maybe.
Okay. Don't make any promises.
Yeah, I don't make any promises. Maybe. We have a new sponsor, and they're hooking us.
Goya. I love Mexican food.
We have 2 new sponsors, Goya, but which I totally forgot to mention. Goya, fine retailer of all things Mexican food. Check out your local grocer. But what I was going to mention was Sociable Cider Works in the Northeast. They're tossing us a happy hour Thursday, July 14th from 4 to 6 p.m., where a portion of the pints that everyone drinks will go to the club's charitable efforts like gear donation to the less privileged, and the pregame clinics we put on, the cost that it takes to put those on. So get out there, folks, for a quick blast or 3 after work, and that'll be tomorrow. So get out there, drink some cider.
And the cool thing about Sociable is they don't only make cider. They've got a lot of they're kind of starting to dabble in sour beers. I think a lot of when they first opened, they didn't really have full ciders yet. So they were doing a lot of ales with fruit infused in them and things like that. So if you're not a huge fan of cider, there's still definitely going to be something for you. They do a lot of cool experiments.
Yeah, so come on down.
Cider-like styles.
Come on down to Northeast tomorrow from 4 to 6. I know it's right in the key drive time, but some of us will be there after 6. So come by, say hi to the staff, the players, the members. Mm-hmm. Nate and I think my kid Gus will be there, just talking back with you. So come on out.
So, John, do you know what beer I couldn't find at the top of any of the mountains I went to? I went to the top of Kings Canyon and looked at some of those sequoias. I went to the top of went to 2 different continental divide spots. What beer couldn't I find?
Ironically, I'm guessing Summit.
Yes, absolutely. It was frustrating. Speaking of Summit, They are turning 30 this year, and it's we're getting close to the biggest party they have ever thrown. This backyard bash.
Yep,
sounds
every
like
year.
It's going to be fucking sweet. Go online to summitbrewing.com for more information on bands that are going to be playing, on the brews they're going to have featured, on tickets to this bash. That's what you want to do. It's a nice, make some summer plans, you know. If you want to get a hold of us, me and you, John, you can email us at mcscpodcast@gmail.com. You can tweet at the club at MPLSCitySC. You can tweet at John at Johnny Business. That's no H with 2 N's, 2 Z's, and 2 S's. Or you can tweet at me at Mexinate. It's Mexi plus Nate. And that's all for this week. We got to get focused, people. Get those prayer beads out. Get the other beads you've got out. Sacrifice all of your farm animals to the thunder god and ask whomever or whatever you worship to give us a 3-0 win on Sunday. I am Nate. This is John, and this has been once again the best thing you will hear all week. Let's let our boys Go Get 'em Tiger blast us out of here with cheat codes. Enjoy, everyone, and we will see you next week.
Goodbye, folks.